gamble. I think we can all agree that people who do not gamble are very unlikely to be addicted. So the studies I'm describing are assessed against a population of people who gamble. 35% of Americans visit a commercial casino in the course of a year. That's a very large number of people, and the incidence rates are calculated against that. With respect to the part of the brain that's stimulated by activities that are addictive, the same part of the brain is stimulated by virtually everything that causes adults enjoyment. There's a great deal of research on this. There's a lot of clinical research on brain activity. If you watch an exciting movie, if you gamble, if you snort cocaine, if you watch a thrilling sporting event, any number of things stimulate a portion of your brain, and that certainly includes gambling. But to suggest that that means that gambling and cocaine are comparable in one fashion or another, again, I would suggest it's extremely prejudice.
I think we have one or two more questions. The one last question, there are allegations, I don't know what the evidence is, but we hear frequently that the incidence of crime goes up when a casino comes to a particular location, and incidents of other antisocial behavior. I wonder if you could both comment on that.
Well, I gave you the statistics about embezzlement, which is, the numbers are right there. Drunk driving, child abuse. I mean, talk to the communities where the casinos come in, and you can see the rise. I'm sure Mr. Loveman says there's no impact, it's just that there are more people that come to the area. But if even 1% are addicted, addicts are desperate people, and they do desperate things. And families fall apart, and things disintegrate, and crimes are committed.
Well, I'm going to take the last part of the Senator's argument first and then go back to the question of crime. Americans and people around the world do all sorts of destructive things to themselves. That's unfortunate. No one takes that lightly. But we don't legislate those services out of existence for people who use them responsibly. Now, again, Senator, since you like to take these arguments a bit to the extreme, let me do that myself. I've not heard you argue for the reinstatement of prohibition recently. Now, 5% of adults who drink do so in a destructive fashion. They lead to a tremendous number of deaths on the highways. I think as a former teacher you would agree that the damage done to families is substantial. Yet we are a country that allows alcohol consumption virtually everywhere, and we do so because we argue that the 95% of those who consume it responsibly, as adults, ought to have the right to do it. It is true that when someone sees me drive through the drive-up window at McDonald's, they ought to tell me to buy a salad, but they don't. People can eat irresponsibly, they can invest irresponsibly, they can drink irresponsibly. These are the rights that a free society has. And in every instance, there are people who, as a result of that, make very poor decisions. The unusual case here is you're suggesting that we should single this one out and make it illegal, but we should not take action against all the other comparable or perhaps more persuasive instances where exactly the same thing happens. So I think if you're an advocate of this, if you want to social engineer, which it sounds to me like you do, then you better make a list of all the things that are addictive, all the things where adults make poor decisions, all the things that as a result hamper their family circumstances, and come to the legislature and seek to outlaw each of them, which would, I think, be a very interesting debate. With respect to crime, I invite you, Alice or anyone else, bring in the police chiefs of all the cities that have gambling. Pick them at random. Pick whatever you like. Ask them for the statistics. As I've indicated, if you have 17,000 more people drive into a community on a Friday night than used to drive in, there'll be more fender benders, there'll be more people running red lights, there'll be more drunk drivers. There will. There's no question. If you don't want to have that, then you should be a community like Wellesley that chooses not to have it. But you have to distinguish the activities that are a result of having a lot of people visit a destination, whether it's Orlando, Florida, or Brandon, Missouri, or wherever it is, from things that are endemic to gambling.
Okay, I just have to respond to that. Because this whole, we're right back where we started. That's why this is a great place to end. Because I said, I am not the moral squad here. I am the taxpayer protection squad. I'm not prohibit gambling. We don't have places to gamble. I'm trying to prohibit, it's everywhere. It's a corner store. It's the bar. It's Keno. It's the tracks. The question is, just as I started out, how much gambling and how many places and how many forms is is wise for the social fabric and for the financial future of the state? That's the question. I'm not into prohibition. I'm asking the question, how much of it, in how many forms, in how many places is wise for our social fabric and for our financial future?
Thank you.
As I indicated earlier, this is an informational forum, and